This episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast is brought to you in partnership with ministryleague.com. We would love for more people to discover this show, so please rate and review us on iTunes or your podcast provider. Feel free to share on your social media and subscribe at benandtravis.com for the free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living. Welcome back to part 2 of our episode with Super Cole and his super mom, Caroline. It has been an awesome part 1. Hopefully you picked up on that. If not, finish this episode, go back and pick up an episode 1 to get the full story, or at least the full setup for this one. Just been a great time. Obviously, anytime you can get up with the internet phenom, Funky Cole, that's always a good thing. He's wearing his Boss Bling necklace, so that means we're all in the zone and ready to go. So, Ben, you doing okay? Will, y'all with us still?
We are still here and still with it. It's been a good day. Last interview was an awesome interview with these guys. It's just a pleasure to be in their presence and be able to hang out like this. So thanks for letting us be a part.
Yep, while Cole's getting his earphone in, I'm just learning how to be Gucci, how to be bougie, how to be super. I mean, just all these things that Cole is, and just really enjoying getting to know him and his family on a deeper level.
As we get back in and jump into the questions, we want to talk a little bit about the human element of things. You know, what have you learned? What have each of you learned about yourself through all of this? Obviously, I believe God has lessons that he wants to teach us. I don't think God necessarily gives us disease or bad things, but he does have things that we can learn from them. And, if you could tell us a little bit about what you've learned about yourself.
That I could be pretty bad.
Okay. Amen. I'm on that train.
Bad as in good or bad as in bad?
Bad as in bad.
Okay.
He
Self-reflection's a big thing. It's okay.
Yeah. There was a time when he was really sick, like super, super sick. He understandably didn't want anything to do with anybody. He just,
At that point, I just hated everybody.
he didn't really talk to anybody. He didn't want the doctors to ask him anything.
Nope.
He let them listen and touch and see what they needed to see, but he didn't want them to need anything from him. Like, he was done.
Yep.
And that was a challenging time for me because that's not Cole. And those people didn't know Cole before he was sick. And I would run into, and their healthcare provider, doctors, their nurses, they don't care how happy and joyful he is. I mean, they do, but that's not why they're there, and I'm like, I'm sorry, he's not always like this, I'm sorry, and I'm crying and all this, and they're like, please, like, it's fine, I just need to feel his foot, like, but that was a very difficult period.
They could see it as a job. I mean, it was a job. They were doing their job. You were being a mom. You were trying to, like, I want my kid to act the right. Yeah.
Yes. And they're like, now's not the time for that. Like, it's okay.
Kid.
But now he thinks it's funny. Yeah. We just learned how to be awesome. Like, we learned how to be strong, how to lean on each other. We learned who loved us. We learned how to pray harder. I learned how to fight for my child. I learned things about my husband. He learned things about me. We just...
Ow. Huh? The anger about you?
Maybe some days. We just went through things that you wouldn't normally have to go through as a family. And
you guys spent a lot of time apart, because I know, like, John had to be here, and, y'all have Carson, another son. And so they spent a lot of time here while you spent a lot of time up there. I know he traveled back and forth quite a bit too, but that's a lot of time apart also.
It was it and even when they were there, we weren't together. So he was sick. He didn't want Carson like playing and jumping around 99% of the time. There was a time when they both felt like playing, but most of the time it wasn't like that.
And whenever, I don't know when it was, but it was whenever couldn't really see my brother, and there's like this big glass, like real big, and he couldn't come in, and he would always wave, and that would just make my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, during the first transplant, they had to be apart for a while, and that was when we first got there, and things were still new, and that was hard. That was really hard, keeping them apart, because he still felt good, and he felt good, and was like, "Why can't I see my brother?" He was 2 when we went. He just turned 3, like the day after we got there. We celebrated his birthday, so it was just a lot of getting used to at first, but they both, and even like Cole's personality, they kept telling me like he'll come out of this medical stuff, and he will, and he did, and there's still some things that we're working on, but he's better, and Carson thrived. He didn't have behavioral issues. People kept asking me, well, how's Carson? How does he react? Is he jealous? I'm like, nope, he's just Carson. He just wants his Spider-Man toy, and he's good. Like the children's in, he would play hide and go seek with kids from Mongolia that couldn't even speak English. Like he didn't know, like he didn't care. He was like, hey buddy, even kids like, like his best friend was a little girl. She was 9. Her name's Amana from South Africa. And like he still talks about her. And they had a connection unlike anything I've ever seen with 2 kids. But Amana's brother was the transplant patient. And so our families got really close. Yeah. But kids are just amazing. They just are amazing.
Resilient.
Yes.
Resilient is a tremendous word. I just see that, and like I said, not sure if we mentioned it on the air during the break, but just how much that helped me, to see that and mimic that. And a lot of times I'd go in those infusion rooms, and I was the youngest guy in there, and people are looking at me like, "What are you doing in here?" And it was just kind of an extra boost to go in there and go, "Okay, I'm gonna cold this place up. I'm about to set this place on fire," and try to be that for somebody. So, looking through the glass and seeing your brother, I had to look through the glass, see my kids, and, a lot of, I remember Halloween of 2018 was the worst day of my life. My kids are out trick-or-treating, and I'm feeling like trash, and somebody brings me a picture of them, which is great. I wanted to see them, but it's also like, I should be enjoying them, and I can't imagine your brother as close as y'all were.
I remember that. Well,
Halloween 2018 was when we got there. No, that Halloween.
Oh, I didn't go.
The Halloween that you're talking about was terrible. Was Halloween of 2019.
Oh, well.
Were you in a wheelchair?
Yeah. Well, I didn't feel like walking. I lost all my strength, and I was dressed as, I had a golden hat with a money sign on it, and then
Of course you did.
An Adidas tracksuit.
yes,
He was kind of like a mini Run DMC in a wheelchair. And the tech, his name was Tony. He had the same thing on. They didn't plan it, but he had the same. So we got him to push him around in the wheelchair. So it was like they were a duo.
That's awesome.
And they kept on,
But he was so sick that day. He took Tylenol just so he could feel like getting up in the chair and hold his head up long enough to get some candy.
They kept on calling me Eminem. I was like, I'm not an Eminem.
That was the first year. The first year.
I didn't even know who Eminem was, and I was like, I'm not an Eminem.
That was 2018 because he was a rapper in a different way. He wore a wife beater, and
I was bald.
and he had short blonde hair, and a wife beater and some gold chains.
And I was like, who's?
And so they were like, "Look, it's Eminem."
So, so a year ago at Halloween, you were in a wheelchair. Was that a year ago, or like almost a year?
Oh yeah, because so a year ago, yes, he could not walk. He couldn't walk. He didn't have the energy to walk from the bed to the door.
Pep in his step when he came in here today.
But I'm a physical therapist assistant, and so that's what I do is I help people get stronger. I help people walk. We use walkers, and I've treated kids with spinal cord injuries and all kinds of things. And there was a day, or probably a week or there or so, when he just hit rock bottom. And
what do you mean hit rock bottom? Like in my head? Or?
No, your liver was bad. Your eyes were yellow.
My eyes were yellow.
He just, to look at him was hard. It was hard to look at him.
Oh, yeah.
And he was using a walker, and we were walking down the hall, and it was
using a walker?
Yes, it was a big deal that he was
I
up.
want to use a walker again.
And the nurses were like, "Yay!" And like, here I am, like muscle memory. This is what I've done for a living for 10 years, and
like one of them things where you like kind of like stilts, but where you have them like
no,
right
that's
here.
crutches.
That's crutches.
Yeah, but
like the thing that you hold on to, like old people have.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was all he could do. It was all he could do.
I remember Kelley. She would was one of my nurses, and I would. Sometimes I would love to be in a wheelchair because they had these like little brakes, and so she would just push me real like fast, and I would push one down, and I would like drift in like circles. It was funny. And I remember the scooter. My grandpa, he died, and before I went, he got me a scooter that had sparks, and I remember riding it all around. And at night, nobody was there, not a sound, and it was so scary. It's like The Walking Dead. And we would just ride all around, and even sometimes I would ride. We would play Pokemon Go. And there was a lot of Pokemon and a lot of Pokemon stops, and I remember I used to sometimes I get to ride to like an appointment or something in there, and what was her name? What was it called? Kind of like P, but no, Aiden.
Kristen.
Oh, woo.
The rec therapist.
Yeah, she wrecked everything.
Anyway.
Well, so there it was kind of fun. The activities were fun, but
he was a terrible patient for his mother, and
the activities were fun, but the person wasn't. There was a thing where she was too much cautious, and then she was kind of fun. Getting together is not fun.
Like, what did you learn about your bigger family? I mean, like the church. I know you learned some things about yourself, but, you know, I know you've talked about family, but what about your church family? Because I know you guys have a great church family where you're at Jackson Heights in Florence. And what did you learn about them? And then I guess even broader, just the church family in general, because we all know it goes beyond our local congregation too. So what did you learn?
I learned that you need a church family. And I don't know how people can go through these struggles without one, without a big group of people that you know is there for you. There was churches in Maryland that didn't know us, that were sending us money, sending us gift cards, praying for us, sending us cards.
My favorite gift cards were PlayStations and Amazon ones, because I get to buy V-Bucks.
And Jackson Heights, all the local churches here, people there were just so confused about, like, I remember the chaplain, he would come by and he was like, "Are you still in touch with your church?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like every time he would ask me that, I'm like, we will never not be in touch with our church. Like, I don't understand, like, maybe I'm not understanding the question that you're asking. You know, like, he's like, have you talked to them? I'm like, yes, I talked to somebody from our church and all the churches, like, all the time, you know? And he was just always like, okay, that's good. That's so good. And I'm like,
Who, the guy who sings and know that thing?
yeah. I talked about us being so spoiled, but you would think that he didn't like anybody there, but I promise they were great. It's just some people were expected a lot from us and some didn't.
All right, so you said something earlier that was really cool. I know that your church family and the area around, I'm not even sure who all did it, but they sort of set the house up for you guys for when he came home, right?
Oh gosh.
So like they did some updates, and I know one of the things that we talked about was Cole has his own like PlayStation drawing or something. So tell us a little bit about what that was all about. Like, what did people do for that?
So before he came home, we knew when we left that there was some things that needed to be done to our house for Cole to come home. We didn't have time to do them before we left and didn't really realize the extent of, in my mind, what needed to be done and what actually needed to happen for that to take place. You know, it's just like,
We lost a lot of stuff.
Just don't say that.
Why?
So some friends of ours, Will and Brooke King, own High Cotton Homes. And so I messaged Will and I'm like, I need help. I need some sheetrock in this room. I just needed this room to be a room. It was like old and we didn't update it when we updated the rest of the house. And so we were wanting to move Cole into our room and move some stuff around. So they came and walked through our house and called us back and they were like, we can help you, but there's like some other stuff that needs to be done. Like they didn't want to just fix this one part. You know, they were amazing. And they were like, can we have your permission to just fix this? Can we just fix it? And I'm like, you can do whatever you want. And
they can live.
So they completely changed our home. They painted with our church helped. My work friends helped, and more people that I probably don't even know helped.
You don't know your work friends.
They had a really cool, what you're talking about, painting. So I think the kid is local, and he draws for PlayStation, and he drew a graphic. It's Cole, and he has these cool shoes and this cool chains. And what else does he have? He's got gold stuff.
And I have a staff that has a C.
Yes, it is like really
and it's
cool.
Golden. And I have like golden goggles. And my hair is like it is now. And
I think does it say Super Cole?
Mm-hmm. Super Cole.
That's legit.
And then
Travis is jealous.
There was like these signs all like one right here, one right there, one in my bathroom, one right here.
It says Rodeo Drive, and I'm sorry. I'm stealing his thunder, guys.
What do you think of when I say school night dinners? Pretty sure you didn't think healthy, effortless, or relaxed. The back-to-school season is stressful under normal circumstances. Everyone has to readjust keeping a schedule after a couple of months of the laid-back pace of summer. This year, the adjustment period will be even bigger shock to the system, since many of us have been home for almost 5 months due to the COVID-19 school closings last spring. The readjustment to the faster pace of the daily work and school grind will be stress-inducing for everyone, and new school guidelines like mandatory face masks, temperature scan stations, and social distancing practices may make little ones even more prone to anxiety, even if they don't say it out loud. This year it will be even more important for us as parents to be attentive to our kiddos as we get back to a semi-normal routine this fall, checking in to make sure that they are faring well mentally and emotionally and helping them process all of the changes they will be experiencing. I know what you're thinking. That's easier said than done. There are so many urgent things that have to be dealt with every evening, like cooking dinner, packing lunches, doing laundry, and homework, that it's easy for the more important things like our kids' mental and emotional health to take a back seat.
Hi, Whitney, Travis's other half here. How about a week's worth of easy weeknight dinners for your family? We've done the planning for you. As a parent, the hours between the end of the school day and bedtime are precious. During the school year, our kids spend more waking hours with their teacher than they do with us. I don't know about you, but I don't want to waste the majority of that precious time in the kitchen. But I still want to provide my family with a healthy, tasty, and budget-friendly dinner. That's why we're giving you a meal plan with a week's worth of quick and easy, almost hands-free dinners for your family, complete with a grocery list. So you can take meal planning, shopping, and cooking off your to-do list. Now you have quality time to spend with your family. You can tend to the urgent and the important things and still have a relaxed, unhurried meal at the table with your family. Go to benandtravis.com/meal plan to sign up. We will send the meal plan and grocery list straight to your inbox.
So as we kind of get to the end of some of our questions here, Cole, and for you too, Caroline, there's a lot of people who listen to the podcast who are going through some difficult times, who've gone through difficult times. What are some of the things that y'all would let people know, that are facing tragic situations or just difficult situations?
What would you say to somebody, maybe another kid going through some tough times like you had to go through?
If I can do it, you can do it.
That's good.
That's a good one. So I would say let people help you, first of all. I think as moms, I can speak from my mom. I think we just have this something in us that thinks that we can do everything, and
We can.
and we can't. Let people help you. Take care of yourself. I used to get so frustrated when people, nurses, doctors, everybody would be like, you need to sleep,
I'll do it.
you need to get some rest, and I'm like, I'm fine, whatever. All you care about is your kid and their well-being, and that's what you're there for, no matter what the toll it takes on you. But
The toll, did you say
the toll that it takes. And that is a real thing. I remember I hit a wall and I just had to leave for everybody's sake. It just wasn't good. So luckily John was there.
I can't do this.
Pray. I prayed so much and for so long and so hard that I ran out of
You got it.
My
hair's
what's the
messed up
word?
now.
I would start to pray and there was nothing there. It was like I had begged and pleaded and bargained, and I had said so many words to God that I got to a point there was nothing there. And I had never experienced that before. That was never a problem for me before. So let people fill that gap for you and don't feel guilty. That was hard for me. It was hard for me to start to pray, and I would, I don't know, I can't explain it. I was just done. Not done like with God, but just, I couldn't, there was no energy inside of me to come up with words to beg God for anything else. That's the best way I know how to put it. But
I think there's a Bible verse about that, Travis, isn't there?
Oh, Romans 8. Romans 8. When you don't know what to pray, when you don't know what to say, the Spirit intercedes for you.
And I always enjoyed, I say enjoyed, they were emotionally difficult to watch, but I know there was a lot of times you got online to update us, at home, and it was emotionally taxing to watch you give those updates, but it was good for us to know, and it was also, I think, good for you to sort of let people know in that way. And I know you got a lot of encouragement through that, I'm sure.
Yes. Just getting it out felt good too. Sometimes the only people I had to talk to were arguing with a sick kid and, communicating with doctors and nurses. And that was it. I maybe had a few minutes with my husband every few days, but that was it. But I do want to say something about a book that I listened to over and over and over and over because.
Was it a good book?
It was a good book. It was called It's Not Supposed to Be This Way by Lisa Turkhurst. And I don't even know who sent it to me, how I even knew about it. I don't know, but I literally listened to it over and over and over to know that God's not punishing you. This is not something you've done. Just her words in that book, it literally would get me through the day. I would lay there, wake up, start listening to it, and could go on. I could, okay, today is going to be okay. Like, we can get through today. And that may not be that book for everybody. It may be something else. It may be, I listen to a lot of Lauren Daigle. Maybe she helps you through your day, like,
Travis.
yes. And she actually sent me 2 packages. Can you believe that? She did.
What?
She knows who I am.
That's awesome.
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yes, we were supposed to go to her concert and like meet her, and then COVID messed all that up. But you just find that, yes, Birmingham.
Huntsville.
Yeah.
I was going to Huntsville.
Huntsville. Oh. Well, just find that thing, whatever it may be for you. You just have to find the thing that gets you through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I find so much beauty in the Psalms because David is honest. I mean, it's uncomfortable. There are some Psalms where David says something, I'm like, whoa, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, Cole. But, I'm with Ben. You would post things and it was just raw, but it was good. It was.
It's what was happening.
Yeah, it was what was happening and how you were getting through it. And we, everybody can, to some degree, know that. And I think it was giving people a taste of, hey, it's okay to love the Lord and also be honest with how you're feeling. In fact, it's encouraged, or should be. I guess the next thing is there something that you would say? We like to be practical. If somebody is a loved one of someone who's going through something like this, are there things that you would encourage them to do? Are there do's and don'ts, things that are maybe don'ts that you would say, hey, don't say this, don't do this. I'm sure you've got a running list. Any of that you could
Everybody
share?
means well.
Yes.
Everybody means well. I think when you're in the heat of something so difficult, that nothing that anybody says is going to make you feel better. So don't try to relate. Don't try to do that. It's not going to make them feel better. It may just make them mad. Like, oh, God's not going to give you more than you can handle. like don't get me on that. Okay. But just be there. Cards, love, just, I don't know, people couldn't show up for us 12 and a half hours away, but if you don't have money for gift cards, just be there. Just be present. Text, I'm praying for you. There were so many people that I wasn't close to that would just send a simple text. They would either type out their prayer or I'm praying for you. How are you? They might ask, how's Cole? Just respond when you have time. Don't expect. I think people say they send something. I'm probably going to forget to thank you. Like, I'm sorry. So don't expect anything from those people. If you're going to do something for them, just do it for yourself. It's just a lot. And nobody ever made us feel that way. But words. And even now when my friends, I have, when you have a sick kid, you get these friends with sick kids, you become this community of people with struggles. And I struggle with my words because I'm like, I don't want to be that person. Like, I don't want to say, how can I help? Or let me know if you need me. Nobody's going to let you know that they need them. They're just not. I don't care how bad they need you. They're not going to call and say, I need you. So just be there and pray. And I always say, nothing that I say is going to make you feel better, but I love you and I'm here.
Yeah, and those are great thoughts because I think, we've heard that with people who've gone through losses too. A lot of the same sort of thing is just be present with people. And I think if anything, if we can push people to do that and to just stay present, that's just a huge thing. I appreciate you sharing that. So give us kind of an update and maybe combine 2 questions here, but, how is God still working? Where are some ways that we can, that people can help you guys? What's where's the status of where you guys are and how are you seeing God still working in your life right now?
Well, Cole's sitting here today, walking and talking and breathing and being sarcastic and all the things is a miracle in itself. The amount of chemotherapy, the amount of drugs, the amount of
And being sassy.
ICU stays and things that he had to go through, tests and procedures and being put to sleep, and 3 stem cell transplants in itself, he shouldn't be here. Like, that in itself, every time we go to St. Jude, his labs are better. His liver, when we left, they were talking about a liver transplant. Like, they sent us to Vanderbilt, and I said, I hear you, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Like, we're going to go home and deal with that whenever. And so the liver doctor's like, yeah, whatever. So right now, that's not even on the table anymore. His liver is healing. His blood sugar is improving. His physical activity is improving.
And this morning I ate Oreos for breakfast.
Before checking his blood sugar. Such a rebel.
He's at school this year, which is huge and awesome. We've been so excited to, have him back at school. I know that's one thing he has been craving and his buddies have been craving. And so that's just an answered prayer in and of itself.
So how many days total? I don't know that we covered the number. How many days total did he stay in the hospital?
460.
Wow. He's hardcore. You're hardcore.
Hardcore champion.
460 nights on a couch.
On a couch?
For me.
Oh, yeah. I was on a comfortable bed that had buttons.
Somebody else there, right?
Yeah. He enjoyed the buttons on the bed.
I go, boop, 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 boop.
You're the man, Cole.
Everything would always be up, and I'll be like squished.
Well, just something funny about school really quick. So I didn't ask his doctors if he could go to school. Oh, y'all, because I knew that they were going to talk me out of it. I knew that I know them. And I'd been up to the school. I talked to everybody 500 times. I know him, and he's like, knows everything he's supposed to do. I wasn't worried about him, like, not washing his hands, not wearing his mask when he's supposed to. I wasn't worried about that. So I just sent him to school. So our transplant team from NIH she texted me, and she said, so I just got an email from Huntsville asking me what I thought about you sending Cole to school. And since this is the mom who brought a stroller covered in plastic, like a jogging stroller that I could cover him and push him around in, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
That's funny.
And I was like, yes. So now that you caught me, yes. And he's in school. And so we had a conversation, and she was like, I trust you. I'm not going to change your mind to make the best decision for your family. And she's amazing. But it was just funny because I said, well, let me send you his sweet little first day of school picture now that you know he's going to school.
That's great.
And they're happy, and everybody's good.
It's really cool to see the power of prayer, to have Cole sitting here doing this. But is there anything that like the community can do, that we can do? Are there other things that y'all need, or is prayer it?
Pray that he continues to recover. That is all we want. That is the end goal. We want to meet his donor. So
Some Legos.
November of this year will be 2 years, and his donor is from Australia. And
we're going to Australia?
Their rules are 2 years. I don't know. Their transplant, their Be the Match rules are 2 years. It has to be 2 years after transplant. And so I have made that, and we both have to ask to meet. So I have made that email happen to let them know, obviously I know now it's probably not going to happen now, but
it ain't going to happen.
COVID. But when the time is right, that I cannot wait to meet this guy from Australia and like kiss his face. So
You're gonna kiss him?
I might.
You're gonna
What
kiss
about
him
your
now.
husband?
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.